What's the good word, y'all? DKB here. So, press conferences just ended not too long ago for Joe Douglas and Brian Gutekunst, Packers general manager, and there were some very important nuggets that we got delivered. So, for those that love Aaron Rodgers and the prospects of him joining the team, I'll give you the information from that side as well. And funny enough, it seems like the NFL teams' media departments have a hard time of setting up live streams. The one they originally had set ended up never really being done. And so they ended up dropping a video later with some of the highlights. But the biggest takeaway from the Packers press conference is that he doesn't have any updates from Aaron Rodgers. In fact, there's been very minimal contact recently, especially since the darkness retreat, in regards to any way he's leaning, anything of the sort. And so, outside of the fact that he has no idea, the huge nugget is that he did confirm he has a belief that Jordan Love is ready to play. He spent the first round pick on this guy. He didn't know how long Aaron Rodgers wanted to try to continue to play. And ever since that first round pick has been spent on him, Aaron Rodgers has kind of been slow paying his career. There's been a lot of frustration. And so I would lean towards believing the reports I'm seeing that the team, the GM, whoever, the higher ups on that side at least, they're probably tired of a lot of this lack of communication, the antics that are going on, probably receiving more information from the Pat McAfee show than Aaron Rodgers himself. And I would have a strong belief that the sticking point would be if ultimately Aaron Rodgers decides he doesn't want to retire. If he delivers any information indicating he wants to play on the Pat McAfee show after the GM has openly explained he hasn't really received any updates or communication from Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be as good as gone. And we know, we discussed this, Aaron Rodgers holds all the chips right now. He could potentially lower the trade value, force their hand. I would be curious if the Packers would be willing to sit Aaron Rodgers and play Jordan Love, considering the situation, even if he decides that he wants to stay. Because I'm not sure how you go about trying to extend Jordan Love, seeing him in minimal playing time while making that commitment to Aaron Rodgers. But I guess you have to play the guy, right? It's not like he's been terrible by any means. So we'll see how that plays out for us. For our general manager and the press conference that we had in regards to Derek Carr in that situation. So he confirmed that the meeting from about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, it went fantastic. He said that Derek Carr left a strong impression on himself, on Robert Saleh, Nathaniel Hackett. They are looking at every available option, but he seemed to have pretty much gave a glowing review for Derek Carr. He talked about the high level production, the personality traits. He's confident. He went out there and really laid out his comfortability with what he's experienced, what he could look forward to. And open honest communication about kind of what's going on with this situation. He also mentioned the release, the velocity, the decision making, the accuracy that you can see on tape. And I walked away feeling like Joe Douglas really does believe that this is a talented quarterback that they can go out and win with. And I do believe in the reports as well that they believe this guy can become a Hall of Famer if he can go out and get some wins with the New York Jets. And obviously at the top of that goal list is going to be completing a Super Bowl win. So where does that leave us with all things? Again, we're looking at all available options. He's mentioned that as much. We want to find the right guy for the right time for us, both short and long term, is essentially what Joe Douglas said. Derek Carr fits that mold to a T. He's young enough to where we can still keep him on the roster for the next 10 years if things go really well. If things don't go well, or Zach Wilson suddenly seems like he can go out there and thrive in 2-3 years, then you also have that option as well. But I get the feeling, and when he was pressed about Joe Douglas answering kind of what's going on with Derek Carr and the contract situation, he didn't want to speak on it too much, but he did say that he's ready to pull the trigger if the right opportunity presents itself. And that could mean, with another quote of his, that he's respecting Derek Carr's process. If Derek Carr comes out by the end of this combine and says, hey, I'm ready to try to finalize a deal with my team, I'm interested in the Jets and the Panthers, for example, Joe Douglas can jump into action, go out there, put the contract, get the ink on the paper, and it'll be a done deal. Derek Carr will be our new starting quarterback. So I'm really, really interested in kind of what these talks that are coming up will look like with Joe Douglas. They've already kind of got the meet and greet situation done and over with. So I would imagine right now, unless there's still concerns about how the offense will run, they mentioned we talked about Derek Carr getting his ability at the line of scrimmage stripped. I'm sure maybe some of those questions get alleviated, and then really it's just kind of putting out the framework for the contract that will come out. So we'll see what happens there. Some other things that were touched on during the press conference, going out there for any player in general, weighing our options on spending draft picks versus the free agent contracts that we can just go out there and sign, keep our draft picks. An interesting nugget that I heard from him was the fact that he's had multiple conversations with multiple GMs in regards to trades, and that these weren't just for quarterbacks. And there's a couple interesting names out there that could come up for us. We'll probably wait for that. I'll see when I'm able to drop the videos. I'm still trying to confirm some information on some of those names, but there's been a lot more of like the mock drafts and stuff that are coming out with some of these guys. Offensive line, defensive line is still going to be a high priority for us. Free agency and the draft. We know we have depth and starting needs at defensive tackle outside of Quinnen Williams. We haven't met with Dwayne Brown and discussed anything in regards to retirement versus playing, but he did speak up the fact that he's probably one of the only players in history to play through, I believe it was a torn rotator cuff. And so he loves the commitment to the team and everything, but he's going to allow him time to recover before those conversations come up. And then when it comes to Mekhi Becton, another potential starting tackle for us, he was asked if he feels Mekhi Becton is a starter. He kind of dodged it. To be honest, we didn't get an outright yes or no, but he did point to his rookie season 2020. He saw the talent that was out there in the field. He obviously likes it. And he didn't say that they outright plan on declining the fifth-year option. Sounds like they're going to wait until after the draft, which is perfectly fine for them. And that could be the determining factor. If we go out there and find a tackle in the first round or two, I can't really imagine a situation where we say we aren't going to decline it. It just makes sense. You can't go out there and miss as many games as Mekhi Becton has, and still go out there and guarantee a $10+ million contract. So outside of that, he did also mention free agency in terms of moves we can make. We don't owe a lot of cap dollars in the future, so there's a lot of moves that he can make. Potential restructures out there for quite a few players. JFM, CJ Mosley, he can go out there and cut a bunch of players. We talked about 5 guys that can open up anywhere between about $33 and $55 million. And so there's definitely a lot of flexibility in what they can do that won't mortgage the future for us still, in terms of having a lot of dead cap on the books, having a bunch of money tied into the future. Still, he's been able to do a good job in negating both of those. And then for Quinnen Williams' contract, for the last piece, he mentioned he did speak with the agent for Quinnen Williams. He feels like the conversations are in a good place, and we know Quinnen Williams' deadline essentially is, I believe it's late April when off-season activities first start beginning, and so or late May, I want to say. But those will begin. He plans on moving those if there isn't a deal done in place. But outside of quarterback, Quinnen Williams is really the biggest checklist item we need to complete. So there's going to be full commitment there. I fully believe we're going to have him re-signed. We'll see how soon in the offseason it'll be. Historically, it hasn't worked out well, right? Muhammad Wilkerson's contract took a while, and we just really haven't extended a lot of first round picks for us anyways. And so we'll see. I mean, most of the contract holdups from what I remember in the past were surrounding language in the contract and not necessarily like the guarantees or anything like that. And Quinnen Williams a pretty humble dude, but again, it's time to get the bag. So we'll see how that ends up factoring into things. But if you guys watch the press conference yourselves, let me know what your takeaways are. If you are relying on my highlights, let me know what you think after the fact. But potentially moving on from Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr seems like he could be the favorite from my understanding and perspective of the press conference. And yeah, let me know what you guys' thoughts are. I'll catch you again. Peace.